Hello and welcome to the Innovation Coffee live stream brought to you by ARM. My name is Robert Wolf, and today we have a very exciting episode planned for you. As the title reads, the one and only Estefannie will be joining us for an entire hour to take questions and participate in some of our fun icebreaker games. Okay, I said that really fast. I got to take a breather. Okay, now I personally have been following Estefannie for a long time. And I know many of you have as well. And as excited as I am to bring her on and jump right into the interview, we first have to ask her to hang in the green room. So Estefannie, hang in the green room for just a second. And we'll bring you on right after we do this week's and last week's recap and go over a few announcements. So last week, we met with Microbit. This was Johnny Austin, the CTO of Microbit, and he covered pretty much everything you would want to know about this amazing little device. And of course, the communities of developers who help enable this device for educational purposes and various other cool things. I had a great time. I'm sure you'll have a great time watching it on demand. So feel free to go check out that stream after you're done with this one. And if you have any other comments or questions, feel free to put those in the comment section of the video. So now it's time for some news. We try to nail that every time. It's like, okay, can we get it right when we say it? But yeah, anyways, this just in. There is only one more day to submit your proposal for the ARM Dev Summit CFP, Call for Papers. So don't miss your chance at being a speaker at one of the coolest virtual events of the year. Head on over to devsummit.arm.com right there. Submit your proposal. We look forward to reviewing your sessions and good luck. So it really is crazy how time flies. I'm going to give you a little history or recap here of what's happened in the last few years with me and our special guest who's going to be joining us in just a second. So in 2018, I've been following Estefannie, gosh, probably since the beginning of her YouTube days or Instagram days. But when I first started interacting with her in 2018, Estefannie joined one of my first live streams, which was called Open Hours. And that ran for a few years, had some fun running that. She joined, I think, one or two times there, and it was a lot of fun talking to her. That same year in 2018, we went to Maker Faire. She went to Maker Faire. I think we got her to go to Maker Faire together with a Qualcomm initiative that we had going on at the Qualcomm booth. And I even got to proctor a panel for her, which was called Break It Till You Make It, I think. And when she gets in here, maybe she'll correct me, which was so much fun. I had a great time doing that. More recently, I've had the chance to go on her weekly live streams on Instagram, where she allowed me to share my passion for cryptocurrency and various other things. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome Estefannie to the call. And let's bring her in. Hello, Estefannie. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Thanks. Was that a decent introduction, I hope?
It was really good. I was like, oh, wow, that's right.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the pictures back in the day. I was like, wow, that was 2018. I had to go to your videos on YouTube to actually, remember how long ago that was. I kept thinking it was 2019 in my head, but 3 years now. Crazy.
Yeah. And also it was the panel you proctored for us was Maker's Gonna Break.
Maker's Gonna Break. Yeah, that was a good one. It was with Will Osman and Peter Schripple.
That's right.
Yeah, two other very, very fun creators out there. So Estefannie, what we like to do at the beginning of these streams, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of your origin story. Like, who is Estefannie? What do you do? What do you like to do? I don't know if you want to share a personal anecdote, up to you.
Those are the questions I ask myself every morning. I don't know. Well, yes, my name is Estefannie. I am from Mexico. I moved to the US like about 13 to 14 years ago. Woof, a long time ago. And I went to college here and studied computer science and math because I realized that I actually liked math in college. So yeah, and then I started working as a software engineer. And at the same time, like on my weekends nights, started doing content for YouTube, Instagram, and that's it. Yes. And then eventually I quit my job and I've been doing this full time for a couple of years now. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So you actually enjoyed the math behind the coding, which is something I think that's very important, right? Like, you may think like, oh, engineering, developing, coding, I want to do that. But if you're not going to enjoy it, no reason.
I agree. Yeah, I have a notebook right here, but I was doing some math for a script that I'm writing, and that was like the best part. And then I wrote the pseudocode, and then I was like, Okay, now I have to actually program it. But like the math part was the fun part. Yeah.
I have some questions later on, I think, around this, but I mean, this brings me
Yeah.
back to some of your first YouTube videos where you didn't even show your face. You didn't have really any type of that, like, heavy duty editing. You just put your notebook on a table with a camera and you showed people how to code and do some math, right? I mean, that was some pretty fun stuff. I don't know, maybe could you tell us a little bit about that little origin piece?
Of course. It was actually I was studying for a technical interview, and I really didn't feel like studying. And I remember that in school, when I explained something to my classmates, that like I felt like I learned it better. Like if I could explain it, that meant I knew it. So the idea behind that was, okay, the things that I'm studying for that technical interview, I'm gonna make tutorials and put them on YouTube, which was like the scariest place on earth for me because people are just going to correct you. So I was like, okay, and if nobody corrects me, then that means I got it right. So I started doing that, like computer science principles, and like I think I did a couple data structures and an algorithm or something tutorial wise, and that was it. And like it's so funny because looking back, those videos felt like so much work. And looking back, I'm like, wow, those videos took me like an hour each to make. That's nothing.
And to you back then, in that perspective, it was a lot of work.
Like,
yeah.
Woof. Yeah. Oh wow. I spent a whole hour writing on a notebook and filming it, and yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, it was actually a trip down memory lane as I was preparing for this live stream, watching all those old videos, even your first one where I think, what was it? You were building the RB9, the RB robot.
Yes.
Robot.
Oh no. Sometimes I wonder if I can like hide those for a little bit because I cringe, but then I think about it and I'm like, no, my favorite YouTubers usually keep all of their videos, and then you go back and you cringe with them of their first videos and you see how long they've come. So I'm like, I'm gonna leave them for history.
They're really good. Not even cringe at all. I think they're great. So we have two fun segments here. These are the icebreaker, even though I feel like we've already kind of broken the ice here, but we have two fun segments, icebreaker segments. So let's do innovation. You have so much cool stuff behind you, and I want to see what maybe if some of the fun stuff you have behind you going on. So let's do the innovation coffee crib segment. Our producer. There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Rachel, the wizard behind the curtain there, doing all this cool stuff for us. Innovation Coffee Cribs, Estefannie, what do you have on your desk? What kind of cool stuff do you have behind you there that you use pretty often for your makes?
So I have a lot of stuff behind me that I use, but I think it would be more fun if I show you what's on this desk, because the way I work is this is like kind of like my backdrop of like other projects that I'm going to work on later. And this one is like what's happening right now. And I think I can move my camera and show you if you want. Yeah. So this desk, okay, I'm going to try to do this.
Behind the scenes with Estefannie. This is
behind
awesome.
the scenes. So this is live. I was doing all my research for a script that I'm writing here. I have a Pi running here, some scraping I'm doing, more stuff, headphones, microphone. This is the notebook that I was doing math in and other stuff. Magazine. And this is another project that and another project on my 3D printer. So like I just have a bunch of projects. So these 3D prints are for a frame, for framing some paintings I got. And I've been 3D printing them. Here we go. But I'm having issues putting them together. So that's why there's a hammer there too. That box is where my Raspberry Pis are, but I've been using it for the giveaway. So there's a motor attached to it, but I had to open it because I needed a Pi yesterday. It's kind of a mess. I did think about, maybe I should clean up my setup for today's live stream. But then I thought, no, this is the real deal. Look over there. Like this is it. This is what you get.
I like it.
That's the behind the scenes of my studio lab.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I saw that. That's a big light you have there, a big rectangular light. I got the 2 ring ones here. But yeah, so I noticed you have some skateboards there. Do you actually skateboard? Because there's not just one. There's like more than one. So
So 2 longboards and 1 skateboard. I think I can. It's been my dream since high school, and I had a lot of skateboarder friends in high school, and they would teach me like little tricks and stuff there. I cannot call myself like being good at it, but I used to do it in high school, and then recently I got the longboard as a gift, and then I got the skateboard because I'm like, I want to get back on it. But it's one of those things that I don't do often enough to call myself a skater. Yeah.
I stopped skateboarding at one time. I fell like in my mid-20s, and I was like, this will be the death of me. I have to stop. And so, yeah, it's been 10 years now since I've touched one, but that's cool. So thank you for the Innovation Coffee Cribs. We have one more segment here, and this is another fun one where we pull pictures of you and possible video clips of you off the internet and ask you, what were you thinking? All right, there we go. I love these little things that Rachel got put together for us. They're amazing.
I was gonna say, I didn't do that. That wasn't me. The segment, I thought that was me first.
Yeah. Sorry. So I'm gonna share my screen here real quick. Let me get the pictures pulled up, and I think this is us. Okay, so sharing screen. Should have had this ready. Too bad. All right, so this is the first one on the list. Let's bring that in. Okay. I like this one because I have to imagine you went and stood in Times Square and were just like, I'm going to take a picture in the middle of the street with some glasses on. So what were you thinking here? What's going on?
This was a very fun story. This was at Maker Faire, New York in 2018. And it was still with that mindset of, I thought I had to build something and bring it to Maker Faire to be a maker at a Maker Faire. And so I built those goggles, which are goggles inspired by Res, one of my favorite DJs, that she wears those kind of goggles. So I tried to make a replica, 3D printed, created them, went to Maker Faire, New York, and I was doing a video about that build, but I never released it. It's still one of those pending things of like, am I ever going to make that video, like finish them? And I don't know. If I do, it's going to be like, this project took me years. But so I was in New York, and I was like, so because of the video, I was like, I need a good thumbnail, I need good pictures, I need good video footage. And I went with a bunch of friends, actually. It was a lot of fun with the majority of the people who I was hanging out with at the time at that event were all the Raspberry Pi people that came from Cambridge just to go to Maker Faire, New York, and we're all hanging out, and we went out for dinner. And then I was like, guys, do you guys mind going to Times Square to take a picture real quick? And they're all like, okay. They thought like touristy picture, but then I was like, okay, so I'm going to put on my goggles. One of you is going to have to take my picture. We're going to run right in the middle of the street and take a good picture, okay? So we had to wait for a red light every time. We would run, take a picture, run back. And then Alex, my friend, Alex Jurassic, took this picture, and I really like it.
Alex Jurassic from RPi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's very interesting. And this is kind of like, I feel the iconic Estefannie pose where I think, what is it? You kind of look up into the 45-degree angle and you so it's a good one. All right, cool. Next picture. Let's see. Why did they not all pull up? I thought they all pulled up here. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is a recent one, and I needed to bring one of your cats in here, so that's why we grabbed this one. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about this picture, your cats. You got them so perfectly posed there.
It's my favorite picture in the whole world right now. It's my babies. Well, I was trying to take some cool pictures because I actually have it here. I got featured in Hackspace magazine and one of the latest issues, and they asked for pictures, and I had to take a picture with my cats because realistically, what I'm building here, and I forgot to show you, I have a little stool area here just for my cats, and they hang out with me all the time when I'm building, when I'm filming, when I'm editing. Those are my coworkers, and maybe call me a crazy cat lady, but they're my babies. And so, yeah, that was a picture. And I have a remote. Let me show you. It's a remote for my camera that's built with what is this thing called? Like a pedal for sewing machines. And I can trigger my camera to take pictures with that with my foot, or like it's easier to just take pictures. So yeah.
Gotcha. So you had the pedal there with you, and you were able to take okay.
This whole photo shoot was by myself with the pedal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So it came out really good. I mean, I saw some of the other pictures too. This is really good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So next picture here. And this I think is a really good one. There were a couple ones I was able to find here. This is you with Simone Gertsch. I hope I said her
Yes.
last name right. So cool. You got to go hang out with her and make a video with her. I mean, what was going on here? I think that's tea.
Yeah, we're drinking tea. Like the idea was, that was really nice of her. She invited me to do a live stream with her. She was doing a series of live streams weekly, and she invited me. So of course I dropped everything I was doing and I just like took a flight to San Francisco to meet with her.
You got it.
And before going there, I was like, hey, maybe we can try like do a video together after the live stream. And because she's super nice, she's like, of course. But there was no time to like make something or prepare something. And the only thing I could think of was like, you know what, I'll interview her and I'll have us drink tea and eat biscuits, but we're gonna have to use robots to eat it and drink the tea. So that was it.
I saw that video. You two had a bunch of fun. I mean, gosh, that has been a lot of fun. Very cool. And I mean, like Simone, I think for me, you and Simone were probably two of the people I've been following the longest when it comes to this kind of like, maker space. And then from you, I branched out to a lot of these other creators out there. But gosh, I mean, you two have been so influential in the things that I do. So it was really cool for me to watch this video and see both of you there in the same place at once, doing some fun stuff.
Thank you.
You mentioned Alex Jurassic. I'm glad I actually got this picture on here. I couldn't find a better quality one. But this one I think is when you went and visited the Raspberry Pi headquarters, no?
Yes, and it was a great tour experience. That's the first time we met, Alex and I, like in person. That previous December, so this was around May. So in December, she emailed me to ask about using my content for one of her blog posts, and I said, of course, yes. And then like that's how the communication started. And then I had a plan to go to Norway, and I was like, I've never been to London and England or whatever, so I was like, I'm gonna go there. And then I just emailed her and was like, hey, I'm gonna be in England. How far is Cambridge from London?
About what, an hour and a half train ride or something?
I think it's a 30-minute train. It's not that bad. And she's like, yeah, come on, stop by. And then we tried to make a video, and that was hard because making stuff and making a video of making stuff is actually really, really hard. So yeah, I spent all afternoon trying to make this coaster thing, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, there's a video about this actually trip. Very cool. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can, in the description, we can probably share these videos there that are linked to these pictures. Is there more? There should have been more here. Oh, there we go. Okay, I like the story behind this one. I want to hear it. So let's do this.
This one, it was a great project, and I'm so sad that I don't have the replica of that project to keep in my repertoire. But this is a part I made for a what is it called? Like a crowd maker project, like where a bunch of makers get together and build something together. And this was the command module hatch of Apollo 11. Why am I blanking out? Sorry, I haven't talked about it so long.
One of the landing pods, right? I think that's what it was. The pod that the chutes come out when you're landing back into Earth, and that was the hatch.
Yeah. That's what's called. Yeah, the command module is the one that comes back to Earth, and the hatch is like really crucial and important because I think it was a few Apollos before this one that there was a horrible accident because they couldn't open the hatch easily or for emergencies. So they redesigned the whole thing, and this was the Apollo they used it on, and it was like the 50th year anniversary since the moon landing, and so it was like a whole event at the Smithsonian. And Washington, D.C., and this build that we built together with Adam Savage and like amazing makers in the community, we did a live build at the Smithsonian in Washington for the 50th year anniversary of the moon landing, and it's still there at that Smithsonian. So I can say that a thing I made, it's there now, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. You say the Smithsonian, and the only thing that comes to mind, is Bones, the show. I don't know if you've ever seen Bones.
I've never seen it.
Well, it all takes place at the Smithsonian, so I want to go. If I go, I'll go look for your project, though.
Yeah, well, mine is just like a little linkage that's on the side of the hatch, and it's like I'm holding it with a battery, as you can tell. So the I wanted to make it like my own thing, and so all the other makers were more like woodworkers or like ceramic focused, or well, they all had like different their own thing, and I was like, well, what is my thing? More like electronics. So I spent a whole month doing test runs of how to use just resin because I wanted to make my part mechanically sound so that it worked, but also transparent so I could do like a freeform circuit, put it in there and make it light up. So those are like SMD LEDs inside the resin. And if you see the circle in it, it was mechanically sound. You can move it and all those.
Did you use a resin printer, or was this actually like a mold?
A mold. So
wow,
3D printed the part, I sanded it, smoothed it. Then I made a silicone mold, and then I put the freeform circuit in it, and I poured the resin in it. I waited the 24 hours. I didn't wait for it to cure completely, so that when I took it out of the mold, I could still pull it. It was still kind of flexible, so I could put the ball bearings in.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
that is the end of this segment, Estefannie.
Okay.
You know what, kind of, it sucks because I had one picture and I don't know where it is. It was the one with you and Seth, developer, eating burritos, Chipotle burritos. And that was a really good one. I snapshotted it.
I would love to have that picture. You have to send that to me.
I will.
Wow.
I'll send it to you. I took a screenshot because I was watching it live so Estefannie and another person on Instagram, they did a Chipotle burrito race. They raced to see who could eat a Chipotle burrito quicker. I think Seth won. I think
he
Seth
did
won.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
But yeah, so I snapshotted some of those. That was years ago, and I was combing through the facial recognition thing on my Google Photos, and there it was.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let me bring down my okay. Oops. There we go. Remove that. Stop screen sharing. Okay. Questions now. We do have some questions from the audience, though. I think a lot of these do fit in already with our schedule. One comment here from David W. So is that Estefannie's actual workspace? So he posted this when you were showing the Innovation Coffee Cribs, and it is seriously badass. So very cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. That's where she actually does the
project. This is my biggest project. Yeah.
So I want to talk about, your career path, right? This is software developing. This is how you identify yourself as a software developer, creator, maker, as we put in the description on all of our tweets. But software developer, what made you decide to become a software developer? And I know you mentioned you like math, but is there anything else that kind of contributed to this passion for software development?
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, it was computer science specifically. So I fell in love with computer science and decided I wanted to study that because of Pixar. I watched a documentary about the founders, and I found out that the majority of founders were computer scientists, and they could create anything in their imagination with code and math and physics and put it in a computer. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to do. And so I Googled computer science. It looked scary, but I was like, I'm going to do it. So that's how I declared my major, and that's what I started studying. And then software development or software engineering is one of the career paths that you can take when studying computer science, because I know there are some schools that do software engineering as a major, but my college was computer science. So I had a wide range of options as a career. And software engineering at the moment, well, I think it still is, but at the moment it's very, very exciting. There were a lot of things happening. I remember the movie, The Internship came out, the one with Owen Wilson, and they work at Google. Yeah. And I was like, that looks so fun. Maybe I do want to be a software engineer. And that's how I picked software engineering. I guess it was trendy. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. And you've been in the industry for how long now, if you don't mind me asking?
That's a good question. So my first line of code, because I did I had to think back recently, was 10 years ago, but that was in class. I graduated in 2014, and that's when I started working. So technically in the software engineering industry, I started in 2014, and then I quit my job in 2019. And now I've been doing content creation, but there's a lot of programming. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm a software engineer. I'm more of like I put like hacky scripts together.
To make things
That's
work.
what I do.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
And so you gave me the perfect segue here.
Okay.
You know, you went from, and I think it's a pretty daunting thing that you did. You went from being a full-time employed software developer, computer scientist, software developer,
Yeah.
and you were a lead of a team
Yeah.
to full-time creating, and you released a video back in August of 2019 kind of declaring this, right? And so it's almost been 2 full years since this has happened. And I think my first question for you is, if you had a time machine and you could go back 2 years and talk to the Estefannie from 2 years ago before you did this, what would you tell Estefannie to prepare her for this this venture that she's about to go on?
So much to tell her. I think my advice for past Estefannie would be, in something I learned recently, is to not have expectations and to instead think of projects, ideas, or everything that she wants to do as challenges. Because when I quit my job and I had my expectation of, I had been working, it was a very time consuming, committed job I had. So I would go in at 7 and leave at 7. So it was like a 12-hour everyday job. And then I would go home and then work on my YouTube. So I was doing a lot, long hours and not a lot of sleep. And every weekend I was still doing, like, working on YouTube and all that. So very committed, very high intensity work. And so my expectation was, if I just keep working like this, I'm going to create a lot of content, and I'm going to reach for the stars and get everything I want, right? But I didn't really know how setting that expectation for something that I loved is not. So going back to just real quick, because I think I messed it up a little bit. No,
it's okay.
So my expectation during that time was go to work 12 hours. And then my challenge was, then I'm going to work on YouTube because I want to do YouTube. But when I quit my job, everything became an expectation. There was no more challenges. It was just, you have to do this time. So it wasn't fun anymore. And I burned myself out very fast. But I still was expecting and still like torturing myself for not doing enough hours. And now I'm in a position where, like, no, it's a challenge. And that is what makes projects fun and everything fun. So I think I'm in a very good position to be able to do that now, where I'm like, just everything's a challenge. So yeah, that's what I would tell her.
Great advice for past Estefannie. I think that's kind of some pretty good advice, I think, in general. And I've also fallen victim of this, when it comes to procrastination for me. And I'm not saying that you were saying procrastination, but like, I personally procrastinate, and at some point I have like an hour left to get something done. And that hour can be the most productive hour, more productive than the 8 hours before, because at the beginning of the day I had 8 hours or 9 hours. And so I'm just like, oh, I got 9 hours, going to go make a long lunch, going to go do this. And then you get to that last hour, you're like, oh crap, I have an hour left, and you still get it done. Right. And so, I can definitely see where, when you have your full work day, and then you get home, you don't have as much time as you have when you go full-time creation. And so I can see how that's possibly also when you mentioned about how it no longer became a challenge and you didn't end up liking it as much anymore. I can definitely see that as well. It becomes your job, right? And so now you're like, well, this is my job now. Okay, great. Cool.
Yeah.
What were some of the immediate and drastic changes you experienced? I mean, we kind of touched on this, but maybe you could touch on like some of those immediate things. Like, was there any shell shock that day, the second day, first few weeks after you went through this transition?
Loneliness. That was the worst. I was used to talking to a lot of people every day at my job and having a team and all that stuff, friends at work. to all of a sudden, yes, I have a lot of online friends, but they also have their own lives and their own thing, and it's totally different than in person. So I think the first shock was definitely how lonely I felt at the beginning of like doing my job all by myself, and then that's it, and then continuing on and on. And I was like, wow, I need someone to, bounce ideas off of. I need someone to play ping pong with ideas, and I didn't have that, so that was
Ping,
kind of
ping
hard.
me anytime.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think we've all kind of grown some thick skin this last year,
Oh, yeah.
in this forced isolation. So, I mean, you kind of maybe got some preemptive experience there by going into this.
It's so funny that you mentioned that. Sorry, just real quick,
please,
because I
yeah.
felt I had my expectations of like being a content creator, all that stuff, and working by myself and this isolation stuff. And then the pandemic happened, and then people started talking about it. And I was like, oh, I'm not crazy. It's okay. Oh, and it was like such a validation point for me to see that everybody was feeling what I had been feeling for a few months before. So yeah, it was very interesting for me.
Yeah. I mean, I've been working from home for, I think, almost 6 years now. And,
Wow,
you talk to some colleagues and, they're like, I can't handle this. Like, they sometimes have kids or something like that. There's something in their life that just makes them not be able to handle the work from home stuff. And I don't know that I could go into an office. Like, I mean, one of the things I tell my friends, like, if I had to take a job that forced me to go into office, I don't know if I could, so it would definitely be a shell shock for me going into an office every day.
I see.
So the last question I have for you on this topic here is, do you ever plan on going back? I mean, does it ever cross your mind? Will you go back into the corporate world? Are you submitting resumes anywhere?
No,
not going back.
No, never. I don't think so. Cool. I mean, there was one job that tempted me, and I was like, ooh, if I were to go back into the industry, it would be just for this. And I can tell you, and it's on my Instagram bio, it's like being an Imagineer, like a rides Imagineer at Disney, like making those rides, making those animatronics. That would be a dream for me. And maybe because I feel like at this point, and that's why it's my bio, I've made my own Imagineering job where I produce and I publish whatever I want. So maybe I wouldn't go back, but that was my dream job. Yeah.
So that Imagineering, by the way, if you designed anything at Disneyland, I'd write it like twice or 3 times. Okay. Cause that's really cool. I never thought about, that being an engineering job, but the more you do think about it, you're like, wow, that really is a full blown engineering job. I mean, like there's nothing but engineering going on in those things.
I didn't pass the 3rd round interview.
Oh, really? You made it the 3rd round, though. That's good.
Yeah, I did. Not enough physics, they said. I had to go to LA for that 3rd round.
I mean, did they actually quiz you on physics stuff, or did they just say no chance because you don't have physics on your resume?
No, it was maybe it was a little bit of both. I didn't really get exact feedback, but I know that's the reason, because one of the interviewers was very disappointed that I didn't take university physics. But the questions were very related to physics, because like, okay, design the elevator ride, design this other ride,
momentum, inertia, centripetal force, all this. So I mean, I feel that you could go learn that stuff fairly easily. You're very adept at learning all these things really quickly. So made it to the 3rd round. If you wanted, go check out kinematics.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay, we talked about this transition from corporate to full-time creator. I want to share a clip here of an Estefannie creation, if that's okay with you, Estefannie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I have 2 clips here I'm going to share, so you can kind of get an idea of what the kind of stuff Estefannie makes. And this one just makes me laugh every time I watch it. This is a robot that Estefannie made. We'll let her explain a little bit more about it in just a second. The clip's about 30 seconds. So here we go.
The Estefannie Explains It All show was brought to you by Scrappy the Robot. I paint you place. We both got depression and anxiety. With rolling eyes that count down, your tracks are quicker than flash. My brain, your brain, we both been programmed to feel the pain.
Why was I programmed to feel pain?
It talks!
Scrappy the robot, your pace is quicker than flash. Scrappy the robot, counting till the year is over. Meow, meow, meow. Scrappy the robot comes with real anxiety and high function and depression. Each robot is sold separately, battery included. Meow, meow, meow.
How do you feel watching yourself on these videos?
I was only thinking like, oh no, why did I sing?
It's great. It's so great. Every time you do the whole slow motion voice, it talks. It just makes me crack up. It's so good. And so you made Scrappy the robot for James Bruton, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this was, maybe you could tell us a little bit about the origin behind this, because the robot, first of all, I think is amazing. It's an abomination, but it's amazing. And you made this for a particular individual on like a Secret Santa, I think it was.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. James. Yeah. Yeah. And when I got the email saying that I got James Bruton as my Secret Santa, or the other way, I don't know, Secret Santee. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to build for him? He can literally build any robot he wants in the world. Like So I panicked. I definitely panicked. I didn't know what I was going to build for him. And then it was just like a moment of inspiration. I usually do that when I don't know like what to build or getting ideas. I usually go out and to like a store or something just to see things and get ideas, right? And so this time I just went to Goodwill. And I found this toy, the toy, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I've always wanted to build something like, you know, the bad guy from Toy Story, the kid that made those monstrosity things. I was like, I want to build something like that. I know I want to build something like that. And then like as I was building it, and also like it was a very rough year for me, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna project myself on this, and I don't think he has a robot that has emotions, so here we go. And while I was building it, of course, it's just like everything, like I get it. Oh, I should do a jingle. Oh, yeah, like a 90s commercial. Oh, like, and just write it down real quick for later. And then when I'm actually editing, I'm like, I have to make a song, and I have my microphone, and I'm like, I don't have a beat, so I'm just going to clap and try to sing. And totally off beat, but I'm going to do it. Yep.
It's really good. It's really good. It covers pretty much the entire spectrum of creation. I think for you know, to be a content creator, you pretty much did it all in that intro video. And so we'll share the link of the video in the description for anyone watching and gets to this point in this stream. Definitely go check that video out. You make these nice bite-sized 8 to 10 minute long videos that are just so much fun and engaging to watch. So I have one more thing. Oh, there's the YouTube. Yeah. So right after the stream, go check out Estefannie GG there. So I have one more here I want to share, and I hope I clicked the right one. Let's try. Here we go. This is a collaboration, by the way, and we'll talk about it in a second. Okay,
it's so bad.
let's watch this part one more time here. Yes, I cut that video. I cut that video twice to have that. So Estefannie, this is kind of a perfect example of how collaborators can go beyond GitHub. Okay, so like you contribute to something on GitHub, you have code up there, you're doing something in version control, awesome. But this collaboration goes across the world.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a little bit more about how you did this?
Yeah, this was actually before I even owned a 3D printer or knew how to 3D print. And I met Engineerish on Instagram, a great account. I don't know if he's still posting there, but he was pretty like active not too long ago with beautiful pictures, amazing projects. And him and I like connected on Instagram, and it's like we should do a collab because he did the Pokeball. And I was like, oh, that looks really cool. And he said, well, I can send you one. We can do a collab. And I'm like, yeah, and I can make it wobble like on, Pokemon. And so I did it. And it was like such a simple build. And it was like very hacky the way I did it. But I had a lot of fun doing it. And I've always I actually realized that not long ago that I've always been doing like a tiny little skit for every project I build, or I used to do or something. So back then I was like, yeah, I have to do kind of like the intro. Like I found a video, like a Pokemon video, and I try to recreate shot by shot, but make it really low, bad production on purpose, and went for it. And my brother-in-law was visiting from Canada, and he had the best fun throwing that ball at my face because he was like, no, we need another shot. No, we need another shot. And I was like, he hit me like 20 times.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's funny. I shot JR here, says she can barely notice the blue ball.
Yeah.
It just switches right away. And also, I think I talked to you about this when you were making this, but when the Pokeball lands, it actually opens up, and then you're just like, real quick, let me cut seed real quick and put it shut, right? But yeah.
Yeah, because I could never get that shot of it like landing and not opening.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna leave it.
So very cool. Very cool. I could have snipped a whole bunch more of these clips. There were so many amazing ones, but I just knew we weren't going to have time to go over all of them. So I have another section I want to go into, but before that, there are a few questions that came up here in the community.
Yeah.
So one here is, what are those goggles up top? They're seeing in the desk behind you.
Get them. Yeah, and those are. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Well, and then someone here actually, I think they called them the Jurassic Pie.
Jurassic goggles. Yeah. A Jurassic Pie. So yes, they're right. Jurassic Pie is a Twitter account I opened for these. So these are connected to Raspberry Pi, and if you tag at Raspberry Pi while this is running, they take a picture and post it and tag the person back. But yeah, this is one of the projects I built in 2019. I built this for I had a talk at Coolest Projects International in Dublin, and I built it for that. 3D printed the whole thing, sanded, bondoed, painted. The painting was probably the hardest part. Yeah, there's a Raspberry Pi in here. Wait,
there you go.
Here. And welding mask, headgear, so I can put it on, and yeah, you can see the camera in there mounted. So that's basically it. Yeah, the lights light up here, but I don't know if I can get it to run. Yeah, I don't.
Battery might be dead. It's pretty cool because you've always kind of made these projects that I think, in the most part, they feel pretty interactive. One of your first ones was the robot Halloween costume, and I loved it because it would when you would, what was it, like a picture on Instagram, when one of your pictures on Instagram, it would cause the heart to beat, right?
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that.
It was an Instagram love powered robot. And I thought that was really cool. Oh, there you go. The lights are on.
They're on, but they're not spinning. I think Twitter banned this IP address because it's scraping Twitter, and these are supposed to be like spinning the lights, just kind of like in the movie, and that's why it's in scraping mode. But I have a theory that I got banned by Twitter with this. But yeah, you're right. The Instagram powered heartbeat for my robo suit. You're right. That's one of my favorite projects too. It was really nice because every time I got a like on Instagram, you would see like a electrocardiogram thing, like a beep, kind of like in the doctor's offices, ERs, and then you'll see that, but on a screen on my chest, and it was like the robot's heart. So yeah, you're right. I should bring that back to life.
Yeah, I was trying. Oh, darn! I was trying to find it real quick. But
Yeah.
see, that's why I wanted to clip so many things. There were some funny parts in there too, of you trying to get into the suit, and then you're like, "Yay!" But there's no place to see. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, cool.
Well, the whole head moved up and down, so I could kind of see when I pressed the button and the servos would move up, and I would like, try to peek out the mouth of the robot.
Nice.
Yeah.
So here's another question from the community here. Let me see. How do you actually make the transition though? So this was when we were talking about your transition from corporate to full-time maker. How do you actually make the transition? And this was a question actually I was going to ask, kind of like advice for people that are out there that might want to do something like this as well. Do you have a ton of paid projects lined up, or do you just kind of take a leap of faith? And this was, I think, during the time when you made that decision.
I think, well, I don't think you can ever predict how many paid projects you're going to get that year. It's just like freelancing type of thing. So I knew the potential I had with my Instagram and my YouTube. And I was like, okay, so this is how much I could probably make, or, started to see that because people started offering. But I didn't have anything like exactly lined up. It was more like, okay, so this is the potential. If I work towards that could happen. This could be a business. And also I did save up. I had been saving up for the longest time. So I think it was a combination of, I see the potential. I believe in this project. I believe in this business, and I'm going to give it a try. And here's like a year's worth of savings and see what happens. And then I did keep it afloat. So it's a little bit of both, having a plan and a leap of faith.
Yeah, and I think looking at your growth that you've made. I mean, like the first video was 4 or 5 years ago. I remember following you when that was happening. You were at just 4,000 followers, I think, or 4,000 subs on YouTube, and now you're at like almost 100,000.
Almost. That's exciting. That's
you get like
so
a plaque?
exciting.
Don't you get a plaque when you get 100,000 or something like that?
Yeah. You get a silver one. Oh, I can't wait. It's just it's like a nice achievement, right?
It'll happen.
Yeah.
And then a million's next, 10x from there. So definitely some cool stuff happening. Here we go. So one other question here from the community, and this is another one from David W. He says, in case there's time, there is. Estefannie's thoughts on autonomous mobility for robots. The tech is becoming so accessible. Do you have any thoughts on autonomous mobility for robots? Things like AI and drones and bots and stuff.
So I'm not entirely sure if I understand the question. Autonomous mobility.
I think it's. Yeah, so I think it's kind of like using like computer vision, stuff like that to, lane detection, autonomously move robots, not controlled.
Okay. Well, because I in fact, the industry I was in automation, but it was not necessarily based on AI. But I love automation, any kind of automation. I don't know. Like, my thoughts are, we are still if we're talking about automation of cars, automation of big robots, like industry stuff, like there's some, like it depends on the, so let's just stick to cars, for example, or drones or whatever. Because like there are so many, if you're dependent on machine learning or vision learning, and also external sources. So like my issue with like self-driving cars is, well, what about the non-self-driving cars? And, are the machines going to be able to respond quickly? So if I think of like autonomous cars in rides, such as the Disney ones, right? And now they have autonomous cars that they know where all the other cars are. And that works perfectly fine. Well, I haven't ridden it, but they look amazing on YouTube. And so I've always wanted to do that, to get on those rides, the new Star Wars one and all that stuff. But these are autonomous cars and it works perfectly. Machine learning, vision learning, probably all these sensors and chips and all that stuff. And I think in a contained environment with your variables are exactly the same every single time, I think that works. I think in a real world scenario with a bunch of humans messing with things, I still see it far away. Those are my thoughts.
There you go. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they brought up, someone was bringing up like, cleaning robots for the house and stuff. I
Okay.
recently bought a Roomba, one of those ones that goes to its
Yeah.
docking station and, self empties and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
I am just blown away, to be honest. This bot learns your house. It draws a map for your house, and then you can kind of section off areas and say, at 9 a.m. every morning, clean because we have cats too, right? So like clean the kitty litter area. So it goes over to the kitty litter area at 9:30 a.m. By the time I'm down in my office, it's cleaning. I can't even hear it anymore. And then at nighttime, it does it again, or the whole house. And so like, this is, it's pretty cool, but it's also kind of scary. And yeah, I mean, when you,
why is it scary? I think it's great. I also have a Roomba, but it's older and it's really loud and it's kind of dumb.
oh, so you have the older one.
Yeah, I have the older one.
Yeah, the older one just bumps around until it thinks it,
and then it just like
everything.
starts spinning and it's like, I'm confused. Yeah.
The newer Roombas are pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to get one. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. All right. So moving on, there are some more things popping up here, but we'll go on to this next section. So gear, developer, and creator setup. So I want to talk about your gear. We don't have that much time left. There's about 7 minutes left. I think we can clear some of this stuff off before we go. But your gear, when you develop, I'd imagine you're using a particular operating system that you like. And when you create or edit or do your video stuff, you might also be using something different. So could you start off with telling us what's your developer environment?
Usually, like I said, I just do like scripts now, basically. Or I mean, even at work, my old job, I always was like a big fan of like Debian Linux environments. And so when I code on like my Raspberry Pis, is always like the Raspbian, which is based on Debian, which is perfect for me. So I'm very used to that. Just text editors. Let's go.
Vim or Emacs?
Huh?
Vim or Emacs? Which text editors are you using?
Vim.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm a
1
Vim
point for Vim.
person.
Tabs or spaces?
Tabs. Yes.
Those are the big questions, right? Got to get those out of the way.
And then like for video, I started with just iMovie, which is the free version like on Apple computers where you can just edit videos. And I actually used iMovie for like the first like 3 or 4 years of my YouTube career, and it worked really fine. And it wasn't until like I finally spent the money on buying like Final Cut Pro, which is like the fancy version of iMovie. And I really, really like it. Like, wow, I can edit way faster and it makes a lot more sense and I can go fancy. And that's why I do like cooler skits and all that. The editing is a lot better because of I use Final Cut Pro, and that's it. Really.
Is Final Cut also for Mac?
Yeah, it's for Mac only.
Okay.
I like that because, and I just like, I'm not a big fan of Adobe. And that's just because it's always running in the background and I just don't like it. So I avoid it.
I use iMovie actually. So for my edits,
yeah, iMovie's great.
Maybe Final Cut will help speed things up for me as well. So I got to look into that. Yeah. Awesome. And can I ask what camera you use?
Woof. My favorite subject. Well, right now I have a Canon 80D. It's amazing. I love it. I don't want to touch it right now because I have it set up so that I can just sit here and I talk to the camera and I'm ready to edit. So, but I can show it to you with this camera. And my other camera is a Canon M50, and it's just like about the same quality. So this is an M50, about the same quality as the 80D. It just takes longer to adapt to exposure and focus, but it's still just as good. So for travel or for other little shots, I use this one. And for my main camera is, I don't know if you can see this guy, Canon 80D. Microphone is up here. I just got myself a new teleprompter here, which works with my phone, which is really great. And headphones plugged in so I can check my sound. You see the light here?
Yeah.
That's light 1, light 2, light 3.
3-point lighting.
Screen. Yeah. And this is the first microphone I started with, a Blue Yeti. And but now I have an actual fancy Sennheiser. But that being said, and I want to reiterate this, I didn't need any of these fancy stuff to start. I used an old GoPro to start that I already had. Then I borrowed a camera from my aunt for the longest time. I never had like a fancy microphone. I never had anything that you can, if you want to create content, you can just use whatever's available. I highly encourage to not get like don't let not having the gear set you back.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely agree with that. There's, what was it? I mean, open hours, when I was doing my first live stream, we did just a webcam, one of those, Logitech webcams. And now I have a Sony Alpha 6000, which I mean, it's nice and crisp and clear. I'm going to have to look into those Canons. That's awesome. The teleprompter, it looks pretty cool too. It's just like kind of attached to the lens, which is nice.
Yeah. I can send you links.
Nice. Yeah, definitely will. So there's people here asking, if you're on DevEco, do you have a repo? You do have a GitHub, right? We can share that.
I do. And I was so proud of it, but I had to like reset it. So now it looks like nobody has seen it, but it's the same one. Just I had to reset it for personal reasons. But I have a GitHub. It's the same name as Estefannie GG. You can find it. I put all my build projects there.
We'll make sure we get the GitHub added to the description here. Estefannie,
cool. Thank you.
GG. Yeah, of course. I just pulled it up right here. We'll also share it in the chat in just a second. So, Estefannie, we're kind of getting to the end here. I wanted to kind of talk about, I guess, one last thing here, and this is DIY developer marketing, and then we'll give you your shameless plug. But so DIY developer marketing, I kind of look at it like the tinder and the flame. You come with the content, right? Like you have the tinder, you have the flame, you come with the content, you create all this cool stuff, right? But how does a developer like you, a creator like you, get that catalyst, that gas, igniting it and making it kind of blow up? Because I mean, I know a lot of people, like, they have ideas, they create things, they want to put stuff out there, but to get the visibility, some people claim consistency, some people claim quality or quantity, or, what are some of the things that you would say was your kind of gas catalyst for you getting to where you are with your content?
I cannot say consistency because I haven't been consistent for sure. I think I got lucky, or maybe I touched key people. I think my vision or my idea. So I was true to myself, as in like my second project ever was just like this like smart gingerbread house, and it's like has the solar panels and all this stuff, and to me it was like the best project in the world, and I did it and I showed that, and I was so excited eating it and building it. and I think like I said, I got lucky that Alex from Raspberry Pi saw it, Alex Jurassic, and she's like, oh, let me write a blog about it. Like she was like, I agree that this is a delicious, fun project. So I think I like I said, I kind of touched like key people. So she helped me a lot by blogging about it, and that helped like kickstart my YouTube channel. And I was like, oh, I need to build more, and it was more of that. And then also even like with you, when you started following me, and then you invited me to open hours, and then put me together with Qualcomm to do that helmet idea that I had. And so it's like, I don't know, like just be yourselves, like build the projects that you want to build. I remember when I was talking to you and I told you like, I just really want to build a Daft Punk helmet. You didn't ask me to do that. I wanted to do that, and that was like my passion to do that, or like that, like those projects were like very me. And I think that's what's important. I don't think and maybe I did try a couple times to be like, do some trendy stuff to hopefully hit, but then that never really happened. And so then you're making projects that are not you, or you don't really care about, and it's just not satisfying. So my advice, I think, and what I've learned is just build the things that are really true to you and your passion, and then you'll find your niche. You'll find the people who agree with you and your ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those Daft Punk helmets were awesome. And by the way, all that advice you just gave was great. Definitely be yourself on these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the I was gonna say, yeah, you kind of stepped away from tackling those buzzwords, those trendy things. Like Stranger Things was a big thing for a minute, right? And so you
Yeah.
made the Stranger Things project, and then the new Star Wars movie was coming out, so you did the edible BB cake, right?
BB cake. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Pokemon Go, I think, was when you did when Pokemon
Yep.
Go was a big thing you did. But those were all fun, right? Like those were all great videos. So I can't say that they weren't great videos. They were awesome videos. But you can definitely tell, I guess, now that you point this out, the ones that you really wanted to really do are those ones that seem to have the most views and seem to be the ones that take off the most here. So
Exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So just be yourselves.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, it's time to close this out, Estefannie. I mean, you get a shameless plug, and then I'm gonna close this out. Where do you want to send people here so that they can go find you?
I think so. The main places I'm in are YouTube, Instagram, and actually my own website. I try to put a blog at least once a month, but I'm gonna write a lot more coming up, by the way. So I think it's like those are my key places. Even on Instagram, it's mostly on stories. That's where I post every day, like stories. And then YouTube, a lot more content coming up. So those are my plugs.
And I'll plug something for you. You do a weekly live stream on Instagram.
Right.
I hear you have, where you give away hardware and you have amazing guests show up every week on Instagram. You get more viewers on your weekly live streams than we do here on Innovation Coffee. There's so much fun stuff happening for you every week.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot about that one. There's just so much. So on Instagram, I do a live stream. I try to do it weekly. If not, I claim it's bi-weekly just in case. And if I do it by myself, it's fine. But I try to get a guest, and it's so fun. And we just talk about content creation, YouTube building, making that kind of stuff because they're usually in the same field as me. And then we do a trivia question. And the people in the chat, the first one to answer the correct one, gets to spin the wheel. I have a little wheel with all the prizes, and then they get something from there. And that's been a lot of fun. Yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think I have a. Oh, I don't. Here I have a picture of the wheel here. I'm just going to share it real quick.
And I have this for it saying congratulations when they win. See, I have it here.
It's not showing up backwards for this one.
Yeah, I know.
There's the wheel.
Yes, that is the wheel that I spin. It's attached to that power supply. That's why the power supply is there.
Yeah. So for anyone watching right now, go to Estefannie's Instagram profile at EstefannieGG and follow her and get ready because tomorrow, Friday, and most Fridays, you can have a chance to win some cool hardware and also meet some of her guests and hear about the cool stuff that she's up to.
Yes.
So
and in fact, you know what? I'm just going to announce it here who my guest is tomorrow.
Oh,
I
really?
haven't told anyone yet.
You have to look into the camera and you say, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
Yes.
Tomorrow, joining us on the live stream is Sila Foxlin. Amazing. Oh. Yes, she is an engineer, woodworker. She started a channel a year ago and she's already almost like at 100,000 subs. She's amazing. If not, she's already there. I don't know. But she's an incredible maker, engineer, everything. And she's going to be my guest tomorrow.
Someone guessed that. Someone guessed that on your Twitter. The first guess.
I know. Yeah, I need to give them internet points because I said I was going to give that. So yes,
my two guesses weren't right, but though hopefully you do get Will Osmond on there sometime. He's pretty funny.
Yeah. And last week we had Alan Pan and we had Physics Girl and anyways, a lot of fun people. Yes.
Yeah, there definitely are. You keep those videos, right? Like they stay on your profile?
Yes. If there's no technical difficulties, I save them as an IGTV. But some of them I've had technical, like we lost connection and then we lose the whole video. So, it
happens. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I could stay here talking to you for hours, but we're not going to do that. I want to thank you so much, Estefannie. I know your time is
Thank
very
you.
valuable. Thank you for spending it here with us. And
Thank you for
know-
wearing the pin, by the way. I
Oh yeah,
appreciate
there you go. Yeah.
it. Yay,
And
Stephanie.
and when you do win some of that hardware from your giveaways on Fridays, it comes with a pin, right? You get a pin and some stickers, so that's some cool
Yes.
stuff too.
Mhm.
Yeah, but anyways, cool. Estefannie, thank you so much. All the
Thank
viewers
you.
out there, if you're watching this on demand, thank you for spending this hour with us. We really
Yes.
appreciate you. Estefannie, last words? There you go. That's Stephanie's last words. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Let's hit that. Let's hit that like button. Follow us. Subscribe. Arm Software
Yes.
Devs. Go check out Estefannie GG on all of her platforms. See you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. That's what I wanted to say.